Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Patchwork Purple Moon, who says, "Am I the a-hole for telling my aunt she wasn't allowed to see my newborn? For my 20 female entire pregnancy, my aunt, a 43 female, would make snide comments towards me and my fiance 22 male about how we aren't fit to be parents with our outrageous lifestyle. We live in a camper on my mum and stepdad's property that is our temporary home, and it's fully furnished with a working kitchen and bathroom, but also a little bit on the hippie side of life. She would say that she was surprised my fiance managed to get me pregnant since he isn't very much of a man. We share clothes. She would also make fun of my weight gain, saying she could barely see my belly with all the fat. I'm a pretty small woman, I think, and that eating for two isn't meant to be taken seriously. I tried to be kind to her in the beginning months of pregnancy because she had suffered through 2 miscarriages before I got pregnant. My fiance has never been open about her being hurtful towards me and wouldn't let me write it off as her being upset over losing her babies, and I needed to set clear boundaries, so I did, and told her she couldn't see the baby without my permission. My aunt also has a history of breaking boundaries and calling CPS on family members because they don't have the same ideals that she does. Well, I just had a baby a month ago and finally felt well enough to visit family. I have a rough relationship to my bio dad's side of the family, and I'm truly only close with my grandparents and siblings. So this past Sunday, I decided I was going to take my baby to my grandparents' house so they could meet their great grandbaby. I had informed my grandma that I didn't want to see Aunt A, and she obliged, only telling a few closer relatives that I was bringing the baby over, Aunt C and her children, in an attempt to keep it secret from Aunt A. We had a great time and took many pictures with my family and baby. Here's where things get bad. My grandma had posted a picture on Facebook of her holding baby. She had full permission, and my Aunt A had seen it despite not using Facebook for years, and within the hour had showed up at my grandma's house wanting to see baby. I told her that she could leave, and just because she was family, she does not have the right to see my baby, since she had been so disrespectful towards me and my fiance. My cousin and my fiance immediately put themselves between her and I to try and talk her down from her rage, and I could remove myself and baby from the room. My fiance managed to get my Aunt A and her children out of the house so we could leave. I got a text from one of my older cousins who was on my side during the fight saying I should have just let Aunt A see the baby so the afternoon didn't get ruined. So, am I the a-hole? Absolutely not the a-hole in this situation. You very much had boundaries for a reason, that she was being bloody rude to the both of you, and why would you want someone like that around you at all? That's why you set up these boundaries, and now you're just enforcing them. You don't have to have her in your life because family, as we always say. And hopefully, you enforcing them boundaries will eventually knock some sense into her. I mean, it's very, very doubtful, but you never know. A deleted user says, "You're 10,000% not the a-hole. Someone who has no respect for you or your family has no right seeing or being a part of your family. She isn't involved in any way other than what you allow. Stand your ground and don't let anyone try and push you over or make you feel uncomfortable for standing up for your family." Pengu Waffles says, great name, "Not the a-hole. You set up the boundaries for Aunt A and stick to it. You get to choose who can see your child. Even with your aunt being disrespectful to you and your fiance, who knows what sort of comments she will say about your child too? Who knows what else she'll try to do? Call CPS for whatever reason? Nah, that don't fly." Scrivener of Myth says, "You're definitely not the a-hole. Your aunt though. Oh, she is totally one of the biggest a-holes I've read about to date. She's repeatedly verbally abusive to both you and your baby's father, and as you said, has a history of calling CPS on family members she has beef with, which I'm guessing was totally unjustified too. Has said she thinks you and spouse would be unfit parents and does not respect boundaries. I would not trust her within 10 feet of my children. Stand your ground. Maybe call CPS yourself and explain what she's done to other family members and let them know she may call them in retaliation for you not letting her see your newborn. Also, she sounds super unstable. Perhaps consider getting a restraining/protective order as well." And one more comment from Columbo's Peugeot, who says, "You are not the a-hole. Since she has a history of calling CPS on people she argues with, do yourself a favor and start a notebook of her accusations, comments, and threats. Keep copies of all her texts and voicemails. Keep your place as clean as possible. Fix anything that needs repair. If you haven't yet, start baby proofing. I know baby is still an infant and not mobile, but at least get stuff like outlet covers, etc. Always have a supply of diapers and wipes. Don't let yourself run out. Make sure your fridge is stocked for you and your fiance. Hopefully she'll never make that bogus call, but it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. Congratulations on your new addition. Hope you're all very happy together. So then OP kindly comes back to update the post, which says you can get the original post here. It's been around 6 months since the incident, and I wish I had a happier update. My aunt has still not taken the hint, and I don't want her to be around my child or fiance at all. I respect my grandparents' choice to allow her over to their house for holidays and still attend the get-together, despite knowing she'll be there. I still think I'm being a little ridiculous until she goes and tries to grab baby out of the high chair or car seat without permission, and it drives me insane. This whole situation has driven a wedge in my family. Half of them believe I'm being selfish for not just allowing her to hold the baby, and the other half have constantly had problems with her and completely agree with me. She has suffered another miscarriage in the last 6 months, and I'm very sorry this is happening to her. But I can't put my baby in contact with her anymore, so I've decided to keep my distance at holidays and get-togethers. We attended Christmas at my grandma's until she showed up with her kids in tow to get a hold of baby any way possible. I invited her over today at my grandma's to speak with her about baby, and it went horribly. When she comes in, she sees my fiance and I, and then immediately notices that we don't have the baby, and she flips her lid, yelling at us like we're children because we tricked her into coming there, only to not bring the baby. My fiance started the conversation, only to be yelled at and called many names by my aunt. She runs away crying into the kitchen, like we had done something to her. I followed her in and lectured her through her crying, telling her that behaviour at the moment was the exact reason she was not allowed to be around our baby. If she was going to continue to belittle us on our lifestyle and parenting, she would never see baby again. It felt silly to be lecturing someone 20 years my senior while she cried like a child. We left without saying anything else, and I held my tears in until we reached the car and sobbed the rest of the way home in the comfort of my fiance. That was hours ago at this point, and I still feel a little silly for how I'm acting, even though my aunt had shown how unstable she was to me today. But I don't want this to drive an even bigger wedge in my family. And this one may be just inconclusive for now. I'm not sure if anything more will come than this one in the future, but we'll certainly keep an eye out for it. But what do you guys make of this situation? If you was OP, what would you do? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from BrewQuad, who says, "Today I messed up for taking my wedding ring off at the gym. Long-time lurker, first-time poster, and I'm posting from my phone, so please forgive formatting. I've just recently arrived from home following this F-up. I, a very happily married 36 male with a small herd of children, have been going to the gym in my little town since November 2022. I always go after getting the kids to bed, which generally puts me there around 8:30 p.m. The gym I go to has 2 rooms. One has cardio equipment, ellipticals, treadmills, bikes, etc. The other room has free weights and various other torture devices. My routine begins the same every time with 9.1 to 9.5 miles on the bike, which leaves me in a state similar to that of a walrus that has just managed to pull himself onto an iceberg, very wet and breathing heavy. This process takes me to about 8:55 p.m. I enjoy hitting weights at this time because the gym is often, not always, empty, and it leaves me to grunt and groan in peace. Tonight the gym was not empty when I entered the weight room. Now I mentioned that I've been going to the gym since early November. In that time I've gotten used to the people that do spend the time in the gym past 9, and this person was new. Not a big deal. She's brought her own yoga mat. The ones in the gym are blue and red, and this one was tie-dye-ish, and she had her phone set up on a stand. I assumed she was making a video. Both of these observations were made as I walked down to my trusty bench to start my bent over rows. I grabbed my dumbbells and sat down to continue my ritual, and today I messed up. I always remove my wedding ring before I left and tuck it in my right sock for safekeeping. If I try to wear it, it digs into my hand and makes things most unpleasant. So I start grunting out reps with alrighty and just nicely switch to lefty when I feel a tap on my shoulder. So I stopped what I was doing and turned to see the new girl standing behindish me, sporting a menacing glare and wielding her iPhone. I popped out my left earbud and asked what's up. The following conversation is as I remember it. I said, "Hey, what's up?" And she says, "You are disgusting." I said, "Excuse me?" She replied, "You saw me in here and took off your wedding ring, planning to chat me up." This is a little paraphrased. She swore a little too, and I wasn't taking perfect notes. I said, "What?" She said, "You're gross," and I just replied, "Okay." I proceeded to put my earbuds back in and get to work while she stormed to the other side of the gym and started packing up her stuff. I watched her head for the exit while I was resting between sets. Anyway, I'm rowing away, and out of nowhere I'm blasted with a cascade of liquid which leads me to drop my dumbbell and spin around to see what's going on. There's new girl with her recently emptied pink Yeti screaming at me, I'm assuming for being gross. It was unclear as I had my buds in still. I remove my earbuds so I can understand her, and she storms away. I think the highlight of the exchange is that my gym shirt now smells like vodka. So most people drink at the gym. Am I doing this wrong? I'm home, showered, and explain why my shirt smells like I've had a raging party to my wife. We've both had a good laugh. If I see New Girl's video on social media, I'll be sure to share it here. I don't know who she was, but it's a pretty small town, so it might pop up. Cheers. And I'll just give you a quick overview on the comments on this one. And a lot of people were suggesting alternative rings for OP, like the silicone ones and, possibly tattoo in there or whatever. Others were saying absolutely report this person to the gym because if she's done that to you, who else is she going to do that to? Which I totally agree with. I've been to the gym a few times in my life. I never enjoy the vibe there. Maybe it's just my gyms that I've been to. I always feel like there's little groups there and you're being watched and that kind of thing. That might not be the case at all. Everyone might be super cool in there and it might be my own insecurities. But having something like this would absolutely destroy me going to the gym. I gotta say it, so report that person. But OP did come in and updated the post and says, well, this got a lot of attention. So I'd emailed the gym owner last night at the request of my wife. She feels the same way as many of you, that this lady could be dangerous to others. Has already emailed back. Apparently New Girl received a ban early 2022 for aggressive behavior with another gym patron. Owner is going to call me later today for some follow-up. I will definitely look into the silicone rings. Thanks everybody. Update 2 and the final update. Had initially planned on responding to a bunch of the comments, but there are just too many. Anyway, New Girl's previous aggression was verbal. The gym owner deactivated her key fob and placed her on a perma ban. Has also called a few of the smaller gyms in the area to give them a heads up. Super cool dude. Thanks everyone for the thoughts and advice. I know I've let a bunch of you down by not pressing charges, etc. But I also know I have made many of you proud by completing my cardio after lifting tonight. Before I left for the gym tonight, my wife recommended a raincoat for protection. She's the best. That's all for now, unless the video surfaces. Cheers. And this just brought back a quick story in my head. I'll try and be quick anyway. Of one time when I was in the gym, it was fairly empty. There was 3 of us in there and I was trying to do a particular exercise. I can't remember exactly what it's called on one of the machines and I was doing it wrong. This guy came up to me and he says, oh, you're not meant to do it like that. How about you try it like this? Wasn't patronizing or anything like that, just showed me how to do it. And I really appreciated that rather than making myself look like a goof in front of everyone, And of course, doing it properly. But you see on social media these days on various short videos and other platforms that do short videos as well, where you see people filming others who's doing their exercises wrong. And I'm always really disappointed in seeing that, especially what I went through. And I couldn't imagine someone doing that to me. We're at the gym to try and be better, to improve their health. For me at that moment, it really helped with my depression. So if I would have got home that night from the gym and found someone put my video on there and was taking the piss out of me with the mental state I had back then, I wouldn't have known how I would have acted. I always find those videos really disappointing. There's some people that do call them videos out as well. But anyway, I've gone off long enough. What do you guys make of this story? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and let's move on to another one. This next story comes from Fun Construction 112 who says, am I the a-hole for criticizing how my girlfriend takes job interviews? She basically interviews them, and I feel like she isn't taking it seriously. My girlfriend is at a job she can't do remotely. We're planning to move to another state together, so she's job hunting right now. Her first interview, she had a call with a top company whose recruiter had messaged her on LinkedIn. I was expecting her to treat it normally, but she spent an hour grilling the company on its engineering practices, then withdrew her application. And the next few calls with companies she basically grilled them all and decided against moving forward with 4 of the 6. I told her around then that I feel she's making a mistake, being so picky, and she's gonna ruin her reputation in the industry if she's going around taking interviews and cutting the process off early. She said she wasn't making any enemies. Hell, the company she dropped had been emailing and calling constantly, wanting to bring her in for another interview or asking her to reconsider. If anything, she was a hotter commodity. I felt like she was probably still hurting her reputation long term, even if her little power play was working for a bit. She said it wasn't a power play, it was professional. She just didn't want to waste anyone's time. But the next interview I overheard started a big argument. One of her final 2 companies had her taking a Zoom interview, and she was laughing it up with an interviewer, and he was telling her this story about how he and his co-workers fell off a barge into the river working on a project. And she was like, wait, they had you all doing that, not tied off to anything. Look, as funny as that is, that's honestly kind of effed up that they put you all in danger like that. I'm honestly gonna have to withdraw my application. She got off the phone and said, damn, people really tell on themselves if you just listen and smile. Did you hear that crap? And I said that I thought she ended it a little prematurely. Like, didn't even ask if they'd changed anything there, just ended the call. I said it felt like she was trying to delay getting a new job. Was she getting cold feet or something? She said no. This is literally how people at her level interview. She was serious about the interview process and she wasn't interested in walking into a crap show. I said that was BS. She was sabotaging herself on purpose, basically haranguing the companies who want to hire her on the phone. And she was like, why do they keep coming back for more then? Like, I'm critical, but I'm not wrong, and they know it. We had this big fight where she insisted that anyone who was at her level of a career interviewed by interviewing companies to see whether they were worth their time, just as much as the other way around. I said that was BS. She got mad. I was telling her about her own career and said she knew it better. Am I the a-hole for arguing with my girlfriend about her interviews? I feel like she's dragging her feet. She says she's interviewing normally for her field. And there was one comment where OP replies, even with a little bit of an update if you like, which we'll cover in a second. But to me, I feel like your girlfriend is absolutely right in this situation. Although I gotta say, it did make me question myself, but I absolutely think this is the correct way to go about it. I think you need to ask if the company's going to be a good fit for you as well. If you go into it and then find out you don't fit in the job or something's not working out, everyone's wasted their time and it's just absolutely pointless. I personally don't think it's wrong to be confident in your abilities and know what you're going into at the same time. But Joe Wasted Time says, you're the a-hole. Your girlfriend is actually doing this right. She should be interviewing the company and withdrawing when they don't meet her expectations. They need her, she doesn't need them. I also don't walk into crap shows. I'm at the level and experience I don't have to. Sounds like she's in the same spot. It's also her job, her life, and her decisions on how to manage it. Are you going to work at these jobs with her? No? Keep your nose out of it then. And I think it's fair to say on this one, a lot of the comments were pretty much along those lines, here or there. OP did respond to that particular comment though and said, "Welp, you've convinced me. Plus all the other comments, lol. I've apologized to her and we talked stuff out a little. To be honest, it's a lot of a culture shock for me. I'm a first generation college student and I've never heard someone speak in an interview the way she did. And to be honest, I think I've been kind of hurting over how easy it is for her to go, thanks but no thanks, to roles offering 150 to 300k yearly. In my field, the most I'll probably ever make is like 70k, and that's at senior levels. And I feel like I was just so incredulous that anyone would just even consider turning down that kind of pay. She makes 160k now, so any of those jobs would have been a great salary. But she's a PE, which I think is professional engineer, correct me if I'm wrong there, which means she's liable for whatever work she does, and holds herself to a really high ethics standard. And she had real concerns that a bunch of the companies she's interviewing with could kill someone doing what they're doing, which would also be a shock to hear, to be honest. But a bunch of well-regarded companies are apparently sketchy as hell behind closed doors. Like, I was so caught up in the how the F could someone ever reject 2 or 300k from several top companies, that it didn't really hit me that her concerns were literally dead serious. I jumped to thinking that she's dragging her feet on moving, which to be honest might be a bit of insecurity too. So thanks to everyone who commented. I needed a wake-up call that I was being a dick, and apparently a dumbass at job interviews too. Lol. And I personally love to see a comment like that. OP saw the error of their ways, they actually listened to the comments, come back and said, you know, I've absolutely messed up. I'm sorry, I apologize to my girlfriend. They talked it out. And they may have learned a little about themselves as well, about the interview process. And personally, I'm just really glad that they talked it out. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What do you think about OP's response? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, and your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully, I'm going to see you, hopefully, you cheeky so-and-so, in the next one. Take care and much love.